Everyone wants to build with AI, but we're going to ignore the fact that your compliance framework haven't caught up yet. Your SOCs, SOC 2, ISO 27001, GDPR, they were never written with machine learning in mind. So how do you prove trust when your product is powered by AI? Welcome to the Virtual CISO, the podcast where we break down the intersection of security, compliance, and business growth. SOC 2 has long been the gold standard for SaaS trust. It was designed to evaluate systems handling sensitive customer data from a security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, and privacy perspective, which is perfect for SaaS. But with AI, the ground's shift and things get a little complicated. Models can absorb sensitive data, outputs are unpredictable, and data lineage isn't always clear. These are not theoretical edge cases anymore, but our new reality. If you try to pass a SOC 2 audit without adapting to AI risk, you're essentially jamming a square peg into a round hole. You check the boxes on paper, but your controls won't address the risk your customer actually care about. And that erodes trust quickly. So let's talk about how SOC 2 still fits and how you can adapt the framework to AI systems. SOC 2 can absolutely work for AI, but it needs thoughtful application. The framework's principles still apply, but your control must reflect the AI-specific risk. Think about model integrity, such as AI model drift, pickup bias, or degrade. That maps directly to the processing integrity trust service criteria. Also, with privacy and retention, customers want to know if their data train your models. Be explicit and transparent. You also have third-party dependencies. Many AI products rely on OpenAI, Anthropic, and others. You need to prove those providers aren't retaining or misusing sensitive input. Let's look at practical examples of how you can map these controls. If you're already familiar with SOC 2, you know that we have different trust service criteria and control criteria. So let me give you an example of how you might extend SOC 2 to cover AI. For example, using a control like protect model endpoints from unauthorized access. You can map that to the applicable control criteria under security trust service criteria. For a control like encrypt training data, you can map that to the applicable control criteria under security and confidentiality trust service criteria. To address a control like monitor model performance and drift, especially in critical use cases, you can map that to the applicable control criteria under processing integrity trust service criteria. If you have a requirement to disclose data usage clearly, especially when your customer data fits your model, you want to map that to applicable control criteria under the privacy trust service criteria. It all depends on the trust service criteria you have scoped in, which is determined by the obligation to your customers within your contract. Basically, what your customer care about as part of the services that you're providing to them. Now, let's analyze common organization missteps. I've seen organizations and founders fall into the same trap over and over. This includes treating SOC 2 like a checkbox exercise without addressing AI-specific risk, forgetting that AI vendors themselves are third-party risk. Also, overpromising by telling customers no data is used for training when that's not true. Not documenting bias testing or drift monitoring. Each of these shortcuts doesn't just put you at audit risk, they erode customer trust. Compliance is more about building credibility than just about passing an audit. If you can show customers that your AI systems meet the same rigor as your SaaS, you stand out in a market that is skeptical of AI, and trust becomes your competitive advantage. SOC 2 for AI is about evolving a proven framework for a new era. You're not reinventing the wheel. Those who adapt early will win lasting customer trust in a market where trust is scarce. Thank you so much for listening to the Virtual CISO. If this episode sparked ideas for your AI product, share it with your team or with that friend who is thinking about compliance too late. You can also find more resources at thevirtualciso.ca or reach out at info@thevirtualciso.ca if you'd like more guidance on strengthening your compliance journey or posture, because building responsibility is how we build trust. Until next time, stay ahead. I am your host, Olivia.